Hey guys, I'm Kevin and this is Comms by Kemp Outside. We're a brand new YouTube channel bringing you all kinds of outdoor comms content, whether that be ham radio, GMRS, MURS, marine VHF, FRS, all the different radio services, radio reviews, antenna reviews, all kinds of stuff. We're a brand new channel that is focused on communications for all of your outdoor activities. Guys, I'm super excited to bring this video to you. This video is 5 reasons to consider the General Mobile Radio Service, or GMRS, for your outdoor communications needs. So with that, let's kick off the video. Here we go. The number one reason, right, or the first reason why you should consider GMRS for your outdoor comms needs is that there are lots of choices for inexpensive radios. Guys, there are a ton of radios on the market that are relatively inexpensive, so you can choose a radio depending on what features you want. Do you want it to be waterproof? Do you want it to have a wide receive coverage where you can monitor the ham bands, the AM aircraft band, the MURS band, the marine VHF band, weather radio, all those things? There are lots of options for you depending on what you want in a radio. One of the radios that I really like and use a lot is this GMRS 9R from Baofeng. It's a waterproof GMRS radio that's really simple to use and is one that my family has been relying on for the last couple of years. As a matter of fact, I have a review on this radio on my other channel, my Kemp Outside channel, my main channel that covers camping, hiking, and fishing content. You can check that video out right up here. But if you're looking for a full-featured radio, there are tons to choose from Retevis, Radioddity, Baofeng, TID Radio, all kinds of radios out there to choose from. So the second reason to consider GMRS over the other radio services is that there are lots of channels to choose from, including using repeaters. So let's talk about the channels first. First of all, the first 22 channels of the Family Radio Service, FRS, share the same frequencies as the first 22 channels of GMRS, right? So you have a lot of interoperability between radios of FRS and GMRS on those first 22 channels. But in addition to those 22 channels, there are 8 repeater channels, which is really cool. You can use a repeater in GMRS. You can't use a repeater in any of the other radio services that I've covered so far, which is the Family Radio Service and the Multi-User Radio Service, FRS and MURS. You cannot use a repeater. In GMRS, you can. You might be asking, Kevin, what's a repeater? I'm so glad you asked. A repeater is where you have a standalone radio. It's typically somewhere with a higher elevation, or an antenna is up on a tower, so that you can use one radio to talk to that tower, right? And then from that tower, it retransmits your signal a farther distance. So you can cover a lot more ground than if you were just doing line of sight between 2 radios. So repeaters can greatly increase your distance. And there are people with GMRS licenses who have repeaters set up all over the country. So you might be in an area where a repeater is available to you, or you can always set up your own repeater if you need greater range. But the bottom line is even though there is a lot of use on the FRS and GMRS channels, there are a lot of channels to choose from. So typically you'll be able to find one that'll be suitable for you and your group or your family to communicate without much problem. The third reason to consider GMRS instead of other radio services is that you have higher power options and the ability to use external antennas. So let's talk about higher power options first. So as I covered before, in the Family Radio Service and in the MURS, Multi-User Radio Service, you are limited to a maximum of 2 watts of output power, right? In MURS, it's 2 watts for the 5 different channels. In FRS, it's 2 watts of power for channels 1 through 7 and 15 through 22. And then channels 8 through 14 are only a ½ watt of transmit power, right? In GMRS, right, if you remember, the first 22 channels of GMRS are also the FRS channels. So in channels 1 through 7, you have a maximum power output of 5 watts, which is typically what you're going to get on the output of a handheld radio like this, right? Channels 8 through 14 are a half a watt, just like FRS, right? But in channels 19 through 22 and the repeater channels, your maximum power output, if you're a mobile station, is 50 watts, meaning you can buy a mobile radio, something that you can install in your car or that you can set up when you're camping or outdoors or that kind of thing, and use up to 50 watts of transmit power, which will give you quite a bit more range than 5 watts. Now keep in mind that these are line of sight radio services, meaning typically in VHF and UHF scenarios, and GMRS is a UHF band service, right? You are going to have line of sight communication. So you're only going to get a mile or two on flat level ground with some obstructions in the way, maybe less depending on where you're at, right? And then the higher you get, right, the higher up your antenna is, the farther the range you're going to get, right? So, and then if you increase your power, then that's going to help you, push your signal a little bit farther. So between the additional power and using an external antenna, like an antenna on a tower or a mag mount antenna on the roof of your vehicle or a fixed mount antenna on your vehicle, you can increase your range by using a better antenna than what's connected to the radio, right? So with higher power options and external antenna options in GMRS, you can greatly increase your transmit range and receiving range than some of the other radio services. The fourth reason to consider GMRS is that it is a licensed radio service, which you might be thinking, well, that's a detraction, Kevin. That's a reason why I don't want to consider GMRS. But I want to let you know that a license for GMRS covers your entire family, right? So it covers your immediate family. So that's children, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, grandparents, grandchildren, depending on where you are, right? I don't think it covers cousins, right? So it has to be, kind of an immediate family thing. And there's a rule where you can look up exactly what the FCC considers family under this license. But basically what that means is that when I'm traveling with my family, whether that's just my kids and my wife, or if I have my mother-in-law and father-in-law with us, or I have my niece and nephew, if I have, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, whatever, if we're camping with somebody that's in my immediate family, I can hand them a radio and we can all have communications under my specific GMRS license. So that's really, really cool. Guys, it's $35 for 10 years, which means your license costs you $3.50 a year. And it's not expensive and is really worth getting if you want to use GMRS. So the reason you should consider, right, GMS is that your license covers your entire family. This is totally different than ham radio. Right, guys, if you wanted to use ham radio for your outdoor comms with your family, every single person that you would hand a radio to would have to have their own ham radio license, which means they would have had to take an exam and demonstrated their proficiency in operating a radio by passing that exam, and then applying for the FCC license and then paying the $35 for a license for each person in your family, right? So for us, we're a family of 5 when it's my 2 kids, my wife, and my mom, who sometimes goes with us on trips, right? 5 times 35 is $175 if I did the math right. So, $35 is a whole lot cheaper than that, and I can get everybody on one license, right? Okay, and the 5th reason, guys, and last reason why you should consider GMRS for your outdoor comms needs, and it's the same reason for every other radio service I've covered so far, is that being outdoors means that you're going to have spotty cell phone service. You might even be in places where there's no cell phone service at all. which is why I am creating videos to encourage people who love the outdoors to come up with a comms plan for themselves, for their family, for their group, so that you have reliable communications in case of an emergency or in case you need to get a hold of somebody and your cell phone doesn't work. Right? I can't tell you how many times I've camped places where I've been in an amazing place, but I just don't have any cell phone signal at all. And I wouldn't be able to communicate with my group or my family, or in a case of an emergency to call for help or respond to a call for help, if I didn't have a backup to my cell phone, or in some cases, even a primary solution for communications. And oftentimes, guys, radios, no matter what radio service you choose, whether that's FRS, MURS, GMRS, ham radio, no matter what radio service you choose, that could be a better option for you than just hoping that you have cell phone service. And one of the things that I really like about GMRS is that there are a lot of users. So in an emergency situation, if you needed to call for help, hopefully, depending on where you are and how many people are there and how many people are operating radios, you might just be able to either call for help or respond to a call for help if someone else is out there. And so just remember that if you love the outdoors, whether that's, hiking, camping, fishing, boating, biking, climbing, whatever it is that you love to do, right? Horseback riding, whatever it is that you love to do. Being outside means sometimes being in places where the cell phone service is spotty or non-existent. You need to have a plan for communications when you can't rely on your cell phone. GMRS is a great solution for that problem as part of a communications plan. I wouldn't say rely on it completely, right? There are other devices like Garmin InReach or even cell phones now have SOS features for emergency where they use satellites, right? You're going to want to make sure that you can, in an emergency, call for help, but keep in mind that a radio could be a really good option to increase your chances of communications with your family, your group, or an emergency. So guys, I'm Kevin, and this has been Comms by Kemp Outside. I am a general class ham radio operator. My call sign is KB8WPD. I'm also a GMRS license holder with a call sign of WRQG272. Guys, I love comms and I love outdoor comms, which is why I created this channel. If you're saying to yourself, man, that guy kind of looks familiar, it's probably because you've run across my other channel, which is Kemp Outside, which is an outdoor content channel for camping, hiking, and fishing. I have done a series on outdoor comms over on that channel, but I decided to really dive in, and so to create a whole nother channel that's really focused on ham radio, POTA, antennas, gear reviews, satellite communications, other radio services, all that stuff, so that I'm not bogging down my regular channel with a whole bunch of comm stuff. I kind of wanted to separate it out because it is kind of its own niche. So if you've enjoyed the video, I would love for you to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up on this video. It certainly helps the algorithm. And ring that little bell icon to notify you when I release new videos. It so helps me get the word out about this channel. And of course, share it with your friends if you've enjoyed the video. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions about GMRS, or if you want to tell me what radio service you've chosen for your group or family and why, I'd love to hear about that. Drop some in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Or you can connect with us on our other social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. Or you can connect with me at my website at kempoutside.com. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you outside.